Bitcoin going from 20K to 55K is a lot less severe of a move and is a lot more plausible than the move from 1K to 20K. What is going on, traders? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. Happy Tuesday to you. Let us get right into the markets, and then I want to go over the Bitcoin price models and show you why a much higher high than the 20K that we saw at the end of 2017 is actually possible and likely at some point. So looking at Bitcoin, we have hit our target of 10.9K. If you follow the trade alerts on the Discord, you'll see that that was our target after buying the dip between 9.2 and 9.6K. We have now hit our target and my trailing stop limit hit for profit. We're currently resting where the 21 EMA and the 50 MA meet, those two moving averages, and you could see that Bitcoin is clearly using that as support. We're seeing a little bit of an inverse BART action going on, which usually is a short-term bullish signal. I wouldn't be surprised to see a move to 11K and potentially retest this 11.7K at some point. However, the volume is looking a little sluggish, so we will need for that to pick up before we potentially see that. And without volume, we will likely break this support level down. But Bitcoin is in general trading within two channels. So we'll look at the channel on the daily, and you could see that it looks something like this. So Bitcoin is currently in this wedge on the daily, and it is it's inching towards the apex, making lower highs and higher lows as it contracts together, right? And we'll see what Bitcoin wants to do at the end of this apex. Now, if we look on the weekly, what I think it will do is, and I've said this before, and I keep saying this, is we'll probably retest the 21 EMA, this white line, at some point, only because a regression to the mean is the likely scenario, and we can't keep on a certain trend forever. And this is close to matching the longest that Bitcoin has gone without retesting that 21 EMA. Now, since we exited for profit and we're looking for re-entries, we can also take a look at the 1 hour chart, the 60-minute chart, to see if there is a trend within a trend that we can leverage. And I said that Bitcoin was in a channel on the 60-minute as well. And you could see that channel here. It's an ascending parallel channel, right? You could see that clearly denoted by these two teal lines here. And you can certainly trade within this channel very easily if you are adept at swing trading or day trading with pretty minimal risk, because you could set tight stop limits below the trend line or below the support here. And you can also see that the RSI, I don't know what this magenta thing is here, but you can also see that the RSI supports that wave type momentum, and we have a little bit more room to grow on the RSI as well. You could see that the MACD is starting to trend upward. At least the histogram is starting to contract a bit. The volume on the OBV is pretty consistent, but it's nothing to write home about. But there is enough volume to support another move to at least complete this swing here. However, remember that trend is your friend until the end, or trend is your friend until it isn't. So at some point, obviously, this trend will break down. And if it does, then we'll exit pretty much unscathed with minimal harm because of our stop limit. And we'll continue to monitor this larger trend here. So in conclusion, I do think in the short term, Bitcoin will continue this trend. However, if once we get near to the apex of this wedge here, and if we don't get enough volume, I do believe that a breakdown is imminent, and it's also supported by the long-term chart here. And, you know, a breakdown to the 21 EMA at some point is likely. Now, this 21 EMA continues to rise as Bitcoin maintains its price level here, right? I mean, there's obviously also a channel on the weekly here. This it's looking somewhat like a bull flag, but there's also this channel here. And as long as Bitcoin is maintaining here, the 21 EMA continues to slowly rise. So a few weeks ago, the 21 EMA was at 8,300 and then 8,800, and now we're above 9,000. So once we go back to retest it might not be that bad. If Bitcoin retested the 21 EMA at 9,100, I mean, we've already tested 9,100 a couple times, July 17th, July 28th, this level here, which continues to be a level that I'll buy at, by the way. I'll continue to buy 9,100 and play this overall swing. But yeah, that is a very likely scenario if Bitcoin doesn't get the volume it needs breaking out of this wedge here. And once we retest that 21 weekly EMA, I'm all in, baby. I mean, I'm more comfortable when the coins or stocks are actually falling, right? I'm more comfortable buying at the dip. All right, that is Bitcoin on the 4-hour, daily, and the weekly. Let us take a look at some long-term price models. Now, I shared this with you guys on a last video. I want to say maybe 5 or 6 videos ago, talking about 2 indicators or charts that I've seen that I don't think people are paying attention to much. And this Bitcoin price model by woobull.com is one of them. And there are many indicators that these analysts have created here based on a number of pretty complex parameters, right? They're not your typical parameters. And if you read here, the indicators, descriptions of the indicators, you'll see what I'm talking about. But there's a couple that I'm going to focus on. In the video that I did, I focused on this one, which is called top, and the one here that looks like it's denoting a bottom in magenta called CVDD. And I won't go into these too much, but you can read about them here. Top is basically the average cap multiplied by 35. So this analyst found that 35 is an adequate multiplier to predict market tops, and it has done so with scary accuracy. If you see here, this top line has really been the point at which Bitcoin has topped out at. Now, obviously, this is not going to give you extent or when something's going to happen. Between these 2 tops here, you could see between 2013, April 2013 and December 2013, we hit 2 tops back to back, and it wasn't until, 4 years later, 5 years later, that we hit this top here in December 2017. So it's not going to give you an indication of when something is going to happen. But that is really irrespective of what we're talking about here. I'm not really interested in fortune telling or timed predictions, right? I care more about levels than time. Whether something is at a clearly discounted level of buy and whether something will hit a level that will amount to profit, whether short term or long term. So the other one that I'll look at here is this orange line here, which is it's called realized. So if we take a look at what realized cap is, the value of all coins in circulation at the price they last moved. In other words, an approximation of what the entire market paid for their coins. Now, here's what I want you to pay attention to on this chart. Look at this chart here. What do you see with this orange line? Well, every time that Bitcoin's price has fallen below the realized cap, this orange line again, right? Every time that it has done so, it has gone on to find a market top later. We've never seen a point where Bitcoin has fallen below this realized cap, climbed above, and then fallen below it again. So obviously, we're dealing with still a young market. This goes all the way back to 2011. When Bitcoin was really became a tradable asset on an exchange. But if you look at this, every time it's hit below the realized cap, we've hit, not only have we hit a bottom, right, denoted by the CVDD, which can be used as a market bottom in this scenario, but it has gone on to hit a top later. So in this case, we see this happening in December 2018, when Bitcoin did hit a low of 3,100 around that time. So that is when we fell below the realized cap, and we are now on our way up. We're past 10K obviously, and here you see the top of the peak of the last bull run. So it is only logical that over time we will see a top, and obviously a top that's higher than this. Well, if we take a look at where, if we hit a top today, it would be at $55,000. Obviously, that's not going to happen. We're not going to shoot up straight to this top line here today. So this gradually increases over time. So you can assume at the minimum that Bitcoin will more than double its high that we saw in 2017. So at least $55,000 will be the next top for Bitcoin. Now, obviously, this is a market and anything can happen. But if you take a look at any market, whether it's gold or stocks or whatever, if you take a look at a logarithmic scale like this is here, you'll see that it looks like a straight trend line up. because overall, over time, markets do continue to go up as it accumulates more and more investors and traders coming into the market. So I'm not saying that we're going to hit 55,000 this year. I'm not saying we're going to hit it next year. I'm not saying we're going to hit it in 3 years. All I'm concerned about is the level, right? Did we buy at a discounted level when we bought, at around 4K? Yes, well, it would appear so according to this chart. And are we headed to a peak that's higher than this last peak? And that answer is most likely yes, plausibly yes. Obviously, we're not fortune tellers, but that is the plausible move. It is actually very realistic based on this chart. I mean, if you take a look at the last peak, right? And you look at this in December 2013, and, it looks like it topped out at, what was this, like a little over $1,000, December 2013, $1,100. And I told you that, hey, according to this Bitcoin price model, if we look at 2017, it looks like we're going to hit 20K. And this is when we were at 1,100. You would have thought I was fucking crazy, right? That is 20x from where we were back here. The move from 20K to 50K is a lot more plausible than the move from 1K to 20K, right? Like this move doesn't even make sense, I guess, from a numerical standpoint. But if you're looking at a pricing model like this, it does make sense. But from a basic credibility level, if I told you that we'd go from 1K to 20K, you would think I was crazy. You'd lock me up in the nut house. So Bitcoin going from 20K to 55K is a lot less severe of a move and is a lot more plausible. We're just talking about doubling what we did before than the move from 1K to 20K. So that is why it is a very plausible move. It is a very likely move, and it is likely to happen. Don't ask me when, but it is likely to happen. Now, one more thing. It doesn't mean that we have a straight line there without any retracements. We will see retracements. Going back to the weekly chart, I talked about this retracement to the 21 EMA. That is very likely. At some point, we might fall below the 21 EMA in, 5, 6, 10, 12 weeks, whatever. That does not invalidate this trend that we see here on this Bitcoin price model. So just keep that in mind, that imminent bear markets, imminent retracements, imminent corrections are still in the cards, and they're still likely to happen. But what is also likely to happen is a move that will take us past 20K to 55K or higher. Anyway, that is it for this video. If you want access to the trade alerts where I send out these levels for Bitcoin as well as other coins and stocks, link is in the description. Diamond Traders and Above gives you access to the crypto and stock trade alerts, as well as the group voice chats that we do where we discuss strategies, what coins we're trading, what stocks are trading, etc. You also are entered into the 0.03 Bitcoin drawing that I do at the beginning of every month. If you are part of the Diamond Traders and Above, this will cost you less than a cup of coffee a week, and it is money well worth spent, in my opinion. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of Bitcoin to 55K. Let me know what you think of the Bitcoin price models. I'll link it again in the description. Leave a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell. Stay safe out there. Peace.